betrayal is the moment you discover it. They're wrong. The worst part is the weeks, maybe months, before that moment, when your instincts scream that something's wrong, but you keep silencing them because you're terrified they might be right. My name is Logan Hale, 35, and for the last year, I've been living inside that slow burn misery without even realizing it. My wife, Tessa, used to be the kind of woman who would tuck handwritten notes into my lunch, kiss my shoulder while I worked, fall asleep on my chest. We were imperfect, but we were us. Then her world changed. New job, new coworkers, new team building nights, new excuses. And slowly, so painfully slowly, I watched the woman who used to reach for my hand start reaching for her phone instead. Our routines used to intertwine. Breakfast together, gym in the evenings, movie nights where she'd fall asleep halfway through and I pretend not to notice so I could keep watching her. But by the time summer ended, our routines no longer matched. She would come home smelling like a cologne I didn't own, laughing at jokes I hadn't heard, humming songs I didn't recognize. She changed our bedroom too. New sheets, new candles, new lingerie she never wore for me. She said marriage needed fresh energy, but she never stayed long enough to enjoy it with me. I kept telling myself she was just stressed. I kept telling myself she'd snap out of it. I kept telling myself lies. The turning point came on a Thursday. I got off work early. I picked up her favorite Thai takeout. I even cleaned the kitchen because I knew she'd had a long week. At 5:42 p.m., she texted me, "Baby, everything's crazy today. Might get home late. Don't wait up." A normal message, but I swear I could feel it. A weight pressing on my chest. A warning I wasn't ready to listen to. I walked around the living room, trying to shake the feeling, but it clung to me. I sat on the couch, opened my laptop, then stared at my phone. I hadn't checked her location in months. We trusted each other, or at least I trusted her. But that night, the uneasiness gnawed through my chest until my hands actually trembled. I told myself, "Logan, breathe. It's nothing." But I didn't listen. I tapped the app. It loaded slowly, the little circle spinning like it was mocking me, stretching out my dread. And then, a doorbell shattered the silence. One sharp ring, then another, urgent, impatient, almost panicked. I wasn't expecting anyone. None of our neighbors ring like that. My heart thudded as I walked toward the door, wiping my palms on my jeans. When I opened it, a woman stood there, eyes red, breathing uneven, holding her phone the way someone holds evidence they don't want to believe is real. "Are you Logan?" she asked. "Yes," I said slowly. "Can I help you?" She swallowed hard. "Your wife, Tessa, she's involved with my husband." For a second, I couldn't hear anything, just a ringing, like the room tilted sideways. She held out her phone. "Please," she whispered, "you need to know the truth." And before I even looked at her screen, my own phone buzzed. Tessa's location finally loaded. Not at work. Not stuck anywhere. Not even close. My chest tightened as the two pieces of truth collided, harder than I was ready for. I don't remember inviting Alyssa inside, but somehow she was sitting on my couch, clutching her phone with both hands like it was the only thing keeping her upright. My own knees felt weak, so I sat across from her, far enough to breathe, close enough to hear her shaky breaths. She didn't speak at first. Neither did I. The air felt thick, like the room itself understood something irreversible had just begun. Alyssa finally whispered, I'm sorry to show up unannounced. I didn't know where else to go." I rubbed my face, trying to ground myself. "How long have you known?" "A week," she said, voice cracking. I noticed Mark changing. He started hiding his phone. He'd laugh at messages late at night. He'd come home smelling like perfume that wasn't mine. Her eyes glistened. I confronted him last weekend. He promised it was just office stress. But something felt wrong. So I checked his location. My stomach nodded. Location. The one thing that never lies. Alyssa took a deep breath and slid her phone across the table. And I saw their phones pinging at the same place for over an hour. I didn't want to pick up her phone. I didn't want proof. But my hand reached anyway, pulled by some dark gravity. The screenshots were time-stamped. Maps. Hotel parking lot. Then another. And another. Patterns that didn't need explanations. I felt something inside me go quiet. So quiet it scared me. Alyssa wiped her cheek. Tonight, it happened again. Mark said he was going to help a coworker move furniture. He left wearing cologne he only wears on anniversaries. She laughed bitterly. I knew something was wrong, so I followed his location. She pointed at her screen. My pulse picked up. The address. It matched the exact spot Tessa's icon had just shown on my phone. A house. Across town. Not a work building. Not a restaurant. Not even a public place. A private home neither of them had ever mentioned. I felt my jaw tighten. You said they're there now. Her nod was small but heavy. Yes. My breath caught. You came straight here. I didn't want to walk in alone, she said softly. And I thought you deserved to know before they try to feed us another story. My hand trembled. My chest burned. But beneath the heartbreak, another feeling stirred. A cold, unsettling clarity. I stood up slowly. We need to go. Alyssa blinked. Go. To that house, I said. My voice didn't shake. If they're there, we'll see it with our own eyes. She hesitated. Are you sure? This will hurt. I looked at the takeout I had bought for Tessa. The food cooling on the counter, untouched. The flowers I picked up 2 days ago, still in water, already wilting. I'm already hurting, I whispered. At least now I'll stop bleeding blindly. Alyssa nodded and followed me to the door. The drive was quiet, too quiet. Even the radio seemed afraid to play anything. My knuckles were white against the steering wheel. Alyssa kept glancing at her phone, watching the little dots move together. They haven't left, she murmured. Still at the same house. I swallowed hard. Tessa said she was stuck in traffic. What did Mark tell you? Nothing. He doesn't talk to me, she said, staring out the window as streetlights streaked past. Not anymore. I understood that feeling too well. We pulled into the neighborhood. Quiet, lined with tall trees, houses spaced far apart. The kind of place where people hid things they didn't want discovered. My heart slammed against my ribs. Alyssa pointed ahead. That one. A small car I recognized instantly sat in the driveway. Tessa's. I stopped the car a few houses down. Neither of us moved. Alyssa whispered, if we walk up, we can't unsee it. I know. Still, we stepped out. My legs felt heavy, every step tightening the band around my chest. Alyssa's breathing grew uneven beside me. We reached the walkway. Lights were on inside. Shadows passed. Laughter, soft, muffled, floated out through half-closed blinds. I froze. Tessa's laugh, a sound she hadn't shared with me in months. Why was she laughing like that with someone else? Why did she look exhausted whenever she came home to me? But bubbly alive here. Alyssa touched my arm gently. Logan, look. She pointed toward the side window, where the blinds didn't fully close. My stomach twisted violently. Inside, Mark sat close, too close, to Tessa on a couch. His hand lingered on her knee. Tessa leaned into him, smiling as though she had no husband waiting at home. No vows. No guilt. My vision blurred for a moment. I didn't burst in. I didn't yell. I didn't even whisper her name. I just watched every lie she'd fed me unravel itself in that dimly lit room. Alyssa covered her mouth with her trembling hand. A quiet sob escaped. I can't believe it. I just can't. I stepped back from the window. My pulse slowed into something eerily calm, as if a storm finally made landfall. We're not confronting them now, I said quietly. Alyssa looked at me, devastated. Then what do we do? My eyes hardened. We're going to make sure the truth destroys the story they built. Alyssa wiped her tears. What do you mean? I stared at the house, the shadows moving behind the blinds. And for the first time that night, the beginning of a plan took shape in my mind. Revenge, I whispered. Real revenge. The kind that doesn't scream or break windows. The kind they never see coming. Alyssa's breath hitched. Logan, what are you going to do? I turned away from the house. My voice low, steady, colder than I'd ever heard myself sound. Something they'll remember for the rest of their lives. Alyssa and I walked back to my car without another glance at the house. I refused to give Tessa or Mark the satisfaction of a dramatic confrontation. They didn't deserve my voice cracking or my heartbreak spilling onto their feet. No, people who betray quietly deserve to be exposed quietly. That's the kind of truth that hits harder, lingers longer, and haunts deeper. When we reached the car, Alyssa sank into the passenger seat, shoulders trembling. I sat there for a moment, gripping the steering wheel, letting the cold night air cool the fire in my chest. Logan, she whispered, how do you want to handle this? The question wasn't small. It wasn't easy. It felt like a door swinging open into a darker room I wasn't sure I wanted to enter, but I stepped in anyway. "We're not showing up with yelling or accusations," I said. "They'd twist it. They'd say we misunderstood. They'd cry and apologize and lie again." Alyssa nodded slowly. "You're right. They'd turn into victims if we gave them a scene." "Exactly. People like them always play the victim the moment they're cornered." I stared straight through the windshield. "They think they're clever, but they left digital footprints everywhere." Alyssa lifted her phone, her voice soft but steady. "I saved screenshots of Mark's locations for 3 days. And the texts, the lies, everything." My jaw tightened. "Good. You hold on to those." She looked over. "What about you?" I unlocked my phone. The location history, the repeated pattern of addresses, her dead phone messages, the Uber receipts, even a receipt from the same house. Yes, an electronic door lock log tied to her phone. She forgot she gave me access years ago. And suddenly, it hit me. Tessa didn't even try to hide it well. She didn't think she needed to. She assumed I would never look. She assumed I was hopelessly trusting, permanently blind. I swallowed the bitterness rising. I have everything I need. Alyssa shifted uneasily. "I'm scared to go home. If I face Mark, I'll break." "You're not going home yet," I said. "Come with me." "Where?" "You'll see." I drove us to my office downtown, a quiet building at night. The security guard gave me a tired nod. I lifted a hand back. Alyssa followed me upstairs to the conference room, her steps uncertain but determined. Inside, I turned on the lights, pulled out my laptop, and began opening files. Bank statements, shared account records, insurance logs, everything I had access to, legal, clean, but revealing. Alyssa watched in silence at first, then slowly pieced together what I was doing. "You're gathering everything." "Everything," I echoed. She sat across from me, wiping a tear but sitting straighter than before. "Logan, what's the plan?" I took a breath. "My wedding anniversary is this Saturday." She winced. "Oh no, I'm so sorry. We were supposed to spend the weekend at a cabin upstate." I continued. "I already reserved it. Paid for it." She was the one who insisted we go. Said we needed to reconnect. Alyssa shook her head in disbelief. "Reconnect? While she's—" "Exactly." The word cut through the room. I closed my laptop slowly, then leaned forward. "Tessa expects a romantic weekend. Mark expects her to work late again. And both of them assume we'll stay silent forever." Alyssa frowned gently. "What do we do about it?" I exhaled. "We expose them, but not emotionally, not impulsively. We expose them in a way that forces them to look at themselves, in a way that doesn't violate any laws, in a way that shows them what they threw away." Alyssa lifted her eyes. "But how?" I reached into my drawer and pulled out the reservation confirmation. "Tomorrow morning," I said. "I'm calling the cabin resort. I'm keeping the reservation, just changing the guest list." "I don't understand," she said softly. I met her gaze. "I'm inviting you instead." Her eyes widened. "Logan, I'm not trying to replace your wife." "I know," I said, "and that's not the point. It's symbolic. It's strategic. We go. We take pictures. Clean, natural pictures. Nothing inappropriate. Just two betrayed spouses rebuilding themselves. We smile. We live. We grow." She nodded slowly. "And they'll assume we're together. They'll assume whatever their mind creates. Guilty people always do." Alyssa leaned back in her chair, processing. And then, I said, "When we come back, I'll leave the photos on the kitchen table, with the location logs, with her own messages printed beside mine, and I'll be gone." Alyssa blinked. "Gone? Yes." I'm not arguing with her. I'm not listening to excuses or tears or explanations she rehearsed with someone else. I'm giving her silence, the one thing she never expected from me. Alyssa whispered, "Logan, that's powerful." "It's clean," I corrected. "No fights. No chaos. Just truth." She looked at her hands. "What about Mark? Do I leave him too?" I gave her a somber look. "That's your call. But whatever you choose it for your healing, not for his guilt." Silence settled between us. Heavy, but no longer suffocating. She spoke first. "Logan, thank you for not yelling at me, for not blaming me. Most people would have slammed the door on me. You didn't break my marriage," I said quietly. "Tessa did." Her eyes welled again, but this time with something softer. Relief, maybe. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Tessa. "Sorry, babe. Phone died earlier. I'll be home soon. Traffic's insane tonight. Love you. I stared at the message, then slowly turned the screen toward Alyssa. She let out a breathy, disbelieving laugh. She has no idea, does she? No, I said. And tomorrow, she'll realize exactly who she underestimated. Alyssa nodded, voice trembling but hopeful. Let's finish this the right way. And for the first time that night, I felt the storm inside me shift. Not calming, not ending, just turning, preparing. Because revenge wasn't coming in flames. It was coming in silence. And it would be louder than anything they had done to us. The next morning felt different. Not lighter, not easier, but sharper, like every emotion had edges now. I woke before my alarm, dressed quietly, and packed a single duffel bag with clothes for the weekend. Alyssa arrived right on time, carrying her own small suitcase. Her eyes were tired, but her shoulders were straighter than last night. Ready? I asked gently. As I'll ever be, she replied. The drive to the cabin was calm, sunlight spilling over the horizon, long roads cutting through stretches of pine. For a moment, I almost forgot the world we were driving away from. Alyssa told stories about her childhood, her old job, the things she used to love before her marriage began cracking. And I realized something important. Betrayal didn't just break relationships, it dimmed people. Maybe this weekend wasn't about strategy alone. Maybe it was about reclaiming pieces of ourselves. When we arrived, the cabin looked exactly how the website promised. Wooden porch, lake view, tall windows that invited the morning light. We didn't pretend to be anything we weren't. No forced closeness. No pretending to replace the people who betrayed us. We cooked, talked, walked near the lake, took photos of the scenery, laughed awkwardly through the heaviness. The pictures we took together weren't romantic. They weren't staged. They simply showed two people who were hurting, but choosing not to drown. That was enough. By Sunday afternoon, I knew what I had to do next. When I walked back into my home, the silence felt different, tainted, hollow. Tessa's shoes were by the door, her purse tossed carelessly on the table. She was home. I set the printed screenshots on the counter. Tessa's location logs, her messages, Alyssa's evidence. In a single page on top, my handwritten note. You'll understand everything when you turn around. I stepped back into the living room, standing in the space where we once planned dreams that now felt ridiculous. A few minutes later, she walked in, smiling, humming lightly, completely unaware. Logan, she called out. You're home early. Did you miss me? She laughed softly, like she was joking. I didn't answer. She spotted the papers first. Confusion spread across her face. She picked up the top page. Her breath hitched. Then she turned around and saw me, duffel bag in hand, eyes steady, heart done. Her voice faltered. W, what is all this? You tell me, I said calmly. She flipped through the pages, her fingers trembling. Logan, I can explain. No, I interrupted, still calm. I'm not here for explanations. Her eyes filled instantly. Please, it's not what it looks like. A painful irony. That's exactly what Mark whispered to Alyssa before she brought the truth to my door. I reached into my bag and pulled out one more photo, just one. A picture from the cabin. Me and Alyssa sitting by the lake. Not touching, not posing, simply existing. I placed it in front of her. Her knees buckled slightly. Who is she? She whispered. The wife of the man you betrayed me with, I said. She deserved the truth. So did I. Tessa covered her mouth, tears spilling. Logan, you took her away for the weekend? I thought you loved me. I finally felt the quiet clarity settle in me. I did, I said. But you gambled with that love. And you lost. She reached toward me, but I stepped back. No scenes. No fighting, I said. I'm walking away the same way you cheated. Quietly. She collapsed into a chair, sobbing, realizing the weight of what she destroyed. I walked to the door, pulled out my ring, and set it gently on the table. You don't get another version of me, I said softly. This was your last. And with that, I left. Outside, the air was cold. But for the first time in months, I could breathe. Because sometimes the strongest revenge isn't rage. It's leaving someone to face themselves.